Hi everybody, it's the Empowered Target. I'm out on my morning walk. And it's probably in the very low 60s right now in the Midwest. And I love this weather because I love to watch the leaves. The trees are so pretty right now and the air is so crisp. And we've just had several consecutive days of just blue skies and beautiful weather. Very kind of uncharacteristic. We sure could use some rain. But anyway, enough for the weather report. I have tried to record a video about an experience that I had. And I've made a few attempts. And I keep deleting it because it doesn't sound right or, there's some sort of sabotage being done to it. But I'm going to start over because it's an important message. And it's concerning the isolation that targeted individuals are forced into. And, I think if any of you have watched enough of my videos, you see that I'm out and about as much as I can be. I refuse to isolate myself, and I know that everybody's in a different situation. Some people are suffering so much worse than others. I think it's a matter of what's going on with you in your life and, who your abusers are. For me, I'm going through some horrible stuff. And they're going after my health just like they are with everybody else's. But, I put so many different protections in place. And I do believe that walking, I've said it a million times, is my lifesaver. It helps me physically and emotionally. So I stay on my walks because I don't want to hide. And I really enjoy it. So I was at a different park last week. And the reason I like my walks is because I always end up meeting new people and talking to new people, but I never see them again. It's not like we're developing friendships. It's just a very positive exchange. And it kind of takes me out of my terrible situation for a moment and shows me that there are some good people on this earth until the perpetrators get to them. And then they start going along with the program because it's real obvious when that happens. But so I was at this park that I used to walk in. It's quite a few miles away, and I love this park. And I saw this woman, and she was walking 3 dogs. Well, I'm the kind of person who's such an animal lover that I'll just come straight up to somebody walking a dog and say, "Hey, can I say hi to your dog?" And it's how we strike up conversations, and it's really the way I've met a lot of people since I've lived out here. Well, so that's exactly what happened. We struck up a conversation, and it turned out we had so much in common, and we seemed to be the same age and shared a lot of our passion for animals. And one thing led to another in the conversation, and for some reason I asked her, I think because she had said something that made me believe that I might actually know her, or we might know some people in common. So I asked her what her last name was, and she told me. And my jaw dropped because it was an old junior high friend of mine, someone I hadn't seen since junior high. We didn't stay in touch, but we were all part of a group of friends that all hung out together. And so how funny is it that I'm standing there talking to a woman that I don't recognize, that I used to be friends with 40 plus years ago. And she didn't recognize me either. So that was kind of awesome. And we ended up walking together and talking for at least another hour, catching up. And the whole time we were talking, I was thinking to myself, what do I do? What do I do? Do I tell her what I'm going through? And here's why I have these thoughts. Because I have tried to connect with other people before. And this program is about isolating you. They don't want you to have friends. They don't want you to have a support system. And I'm afraid to put other people in danger. And I'm also afraid for them. I don't want to involve anybody else. I've had other people say to me that I've run into, oh, I know someone that can help you. I can put you in touch with. No, you can't. No, you can't. That sounds really nice, but you can't. There is nobody that will be allowed to help me. Because they say that, and then I'm like, sure, I'll be more than happy to let you help me, and then nothing ever happens. And you either never see that person again, or all of a sudden, that person's behavior towards you really changes. It's a never-ending battle of how do I adjust to what's being done to me? So it seems to me that I have become an unsafe person to be around. And nothing could be so much further from the truth, because I'm the nicest person. I've never broken the law. I've never done anything. I'm really friendly and outgoing. But all of a sudden, I'm a dangerous person to be around. And what I mean by that is, if you choose to be in my life, there may be a consequence to you. And that's clearly not something that I say to anybody. But what do I do? If I want to reconnect with this woman, let's say we want to go out and have a drink or a cup of coffee or something. What do I say? So that's what I'm thinking the whole time. Should I tell her what I'm going through? And if I do, how much of it should I tell her? How do I present this so it doesn't look like I've gone over the deep end? If you're a targeted individual, you completely understand what I'm saying, because the goal is to make us look crazy, and we're not crazy. But everybody that was in my life has disappeared, and they disappeared because that was what they were required to do. So to finish my story, we're walking and talking, and she says, as we're headed towards her car, she says, well, I'd love to get your phone number and get together sometime. And I thought, here we go. This is it. This is it. What do I do? How do I handle this? What I did and what I chose to do was the right thing in my mind. And the right thing was to give this woman an opportunity to make her own choices. I told her as much as I thought she needed to understand without going into too much detail, because if you're not going through it, it's really hard to understand. But I did, explain it to her in a way that she completely grasped. She understood, and she believed me. So she's sitting in her car, and I'm standing next to the car talking to her. And I basically started the conversation by saying, you know what, I would love to give you my phone number. But let me first explain to you what I'm going through. And then maybe you may change your mind. So I treaded lightly. And she was, like I said, she believed me. And I think the most disconcerting part of this whole conversation, and I certainly didn't go into detail about being used as a human antenna or any of that kind of stuff. It was more about the harassment and the misogynism and the being forced out of my home and the vigilanteism. I went that route without going into too much detail. Well, I did want her to know that there may be somebody contacting her, because isolation is the name of the game here. That's what they want. They want to isolate people. And I wanted to give her that choice. I don't know how else to present this without being just very straightforward, because I'm a shoot from the hip kind of gal anyway. So I was treading lightly, but I didn't really know the right way to say it. So I just said it to the best of my ability and wasn't sure how she was going to receive it. But she kind of just looked at me and she said, the first words out of her mouth after I finished what I was going through was, am I safe? Am I okay? Are they going to hurt my dogs? Now, I understand the fear. I do. But I was a little disappointed because I was kind of looking for more of a, God, I'm so sorry you're going through this. How can I help you? But it was nothing but fear on her part. And she literally started backing the car out from the parking spot while we were talking, very slowly. And she says, I'm freaking out right now. I'm freaking out right now. And I thought, shit, this is not the right person to tell this to. But it is what it is, you know. And so it made me feel like I'm not a safe person to be around. And that is not the case, but that's what they want to create. They want to create that fear in people. And then I was like, should I just not tell her? But then if I don't tell her, someone's going to get to her and tell her because they want everybody to be involved. See, in my situation, it's a community mobbing. So the more the merrier. It's not just, you know, a few people. It's a huge community mobbing. And it's really horrible. And no, I don't want to involve other people, but I do want to have friends. And everybody says, oh, just ignore what's going on and get on with your life. Right, You're not a targeted individual. If you make that comment, you're not a targeted individual. And if you are targeted, then you are not a hard target. Because you can't get on with your life. I'm desperately trying to get on with my life. You know, I went and got a job and was trying to work, and I was mobbed at work. It was ridiculous. It was horrifying. And then I was ganged up on and bullied at work, and I was forced out of my job. And that happened at the last 3 jobs. It was obvious something was going on. You cannot go back. You have to readjust your life based on what you're going through. And it's just, I'm always looking for the loophole. I'm always looking for a way around it, and I have not yet found it. So this woman ended up backing out, and I said, listen, I'm not trying to scare you. I'm trying to give you the option. You know, I mean, I can't guarantee something's going to happen. I don't know if it will or not. But here's what I do know. They do not want me to have friends. And so I did understand her fear. And then I felt bad because I was just like, I'm not a bad person to be around. I'm not a dangerous person. It's because of what I'm going through. And I don't want to involve other people. I don't want to put other people's lives in jeopardy. You know, I have a woman who was my mother's best friend. And my mother died a year ago, December. And this woman had been friends with her for 60 plus years, her and her husband. And she went through some terrible things with my mom, and I didn't know it. And she knew I went through some terrible things with my mom. So that was our bond. So she and I became friendly when my mom was still alive. I don't know that my mother knew about it, but, you know, I'd go over there for dinner and we'd talk on the phone, and she was a wonderful support system for me because she understood how evil my mother was and how cruel she was to me because she was the same with her. I had to stop communicating with her when I was targeted because I was afraid for her because she's a woman in her 90s. I don't want to put her at risk. You know, what I'm going through is serious. It wasn't a game. And I'm not a selfish person. I don't want other people to suffer because of something that I'm going through. But then that leaves me isolated. And I don't want to be isolated. I'm a very social person, but that's part of the program. So I'm curious as to how you all, if you all have ever been in this situation where you want to make friends, but you wonder if you should tell people what's going on. You wonder, you know, if you don't tell them, will they be in your life? Will you be able to have a relationship with them? If you've been through this, please tell me how you've handled it, because there's so many rules, you know, so many rules, and everything's so different, and you just can't count on normalcy. You really can't. So I'd be curious to know how you've handled things. And by the way, I have not tried to connect with this woman. And as far as I know, she hasn't tried to connect with me. Having said that, my phone's hacked. A lot of my phone calls and emails and stuff are hijacked. And I also keep my phone on airplane mode. You know. So she may have tried, but I've gotten no message or anything. But I doubt she's going to contact me. Again, I think she was pretty freaked out. And it is what it is. It's not that I don't understand. It angers me. It angers me because I make friends easily. And they don't like that. So that's just another way that they try to prevent you from having a life. And it's so typical to sit there and say, oh yeah, go on and have a life and get on with your life and ignore everything. And then they do everything they can to make sure you cannot move on with your life. So that's what dealing with crazy people is like. No-win situation. So let me know. Let me know if you've been through this. What is your advice? What would you have done? Would you tell somebody the truth about what you're going through? Would you ignore it and let it just happen naturally and see what happens? I'm curious for your opinions. So you all enjoy your day. Stay safe and sane.